Etetwu, Assalamu alaikum, Namaste, Harun Nefer, and Nesharak. This is Kisankma Kiparu with another video for you. And in this video, I want to talk about where are the Black Egyptian movies. But before I do that, I want you to hit the like button on this video. If this is the first time to my channel, your first time to my channel, hit the subscribe button to get notifications on when I go live and when I upload recorded videos. Also, we have free ebooks that will expand your knowledge of my teachings and the esoteric. Just scroll down below and click on the links and you can download those ebooks and start reading them right away. Last but not least, if you really want to go deeper down the rabbit hole and to explore the matrix, support us on Patreon. You can do so for as little as $1, $5, or $20 per month. You can cancel at any time. You'll get exclusive access to instructional videos, which will teach you how to communicate with the ancestors, how to invoke spirits, how to do self-hypnosis to rid yourself of anxiety and stress and bad habits, how to astral project your consciousness out to other dimensions and other realms, and to connect with interdimensional beings. So all that's available for you as a Patreon supporter. Last but not least, please share this video with family and friends so we can get the revolution started. Hetepu. So I was going back in my film library and watching some films. I always like to do that from now and then to really get up on the understanding of cinema. And I was really in my Stanley Kubrick phase, and I started to get to Cecil B. DeMille. And I was watching the Ten Commandments, and then it kind of hit me at that point, and I had some questions. You see, many times we can be distracted by arguments that are going on in mainstream media, and those arguments absorb us, and we get caught up and emotional in those arguments. And most of the times, as I said, those are distractions, and we miss the big picture. We don't understand what we really should be fighting for and what we really should be looking at. So this is what I want to say. There are enough movies that have been put out by Hollywood and by so-called Black filmmakers that shine a light on the Black American experience. I think we've really got a good understanding of that through the medium of film. But however, there's something wrong with this picture. And this is how things are framed. You see, Hollywood is very keen on putting out films which showcase us as slaves in slavery. The Django Unchained, 12 Years a Slave. We are bombarded by those images. And there's always a rationale behind that. Well, it's important to know your history. We can never forget about this. We must have a discussion of reparations. And to do so, it's important to understand that you are descendants of slaves, which are all very important and correct. But they're still diversionary tactics because you see, slavery was only a small part of our history, a very small part. Because there was a point in antiquity to where there were great civilizations ruled by people of color. In fact, people of color spawned civilizations as we know it. And to miss representing that in cinema is a big thing. You see, because the over-representation of us as slaves is an imbalanced portrayal. And it sends a message to the world because Hollywood is a global entity. It sends out propaganda throughout the globe. And when you're doing movies that portray individuals as just slaves, that is not an accurate history. That is not an accurate portrayal of who we were. It's a convenient lie that you tell. You see, it serves a purpose. Yes, it shines a light on the atrocities that happened in North America, but it also gets you distracted and moves you away from the real argument, the real discussion that there were advanced civilizations ruled and created by people of color. Why are we not seeing those depictions? Why are we stuck in an era, a small, tiny period in time? When you look at Egypt, that existed for more than 10,000 years, that surely outweighs the time we spent as slaves here in this country. So what is going on? What is going on when we have such great filmmakers like Spike Lee, Lee Daniels, Tyler Perry, Ryan Coogler, Oprah Winfrey, Ava DuVernay, F. Gary Gray, Will Smith, Jordan Peele, who come along and make all types of films? I Am Legend, Get Out. You know, why haven't any of these filmmakers decided to make a film about the Ten Commandments from a historically accurate perspective? Because we know the ancient Egyptians were black. This would mean that Moses was black. Ramesses was black. You see, what Cecil B. DeMille did in 1956 was a lie in its portrayal of the ancient Egyptians. I want you to quickly take a look at something here. I am a big fan of the film The Ten Commandments with Charlton Heston. Let's take a look at a clip from that film.
You'll be dead under them! The Lord of hosts will do battle for us. Behold his mighty hand.
Now, that's an iconic scene. That's a very powerful scene. And not just in terms of the biblical perspective, but in terms of cinema. But however, as I said before, that portrayal is incorrect. And for that to go uncontested shows that there's a problem in Hollywood, and especially with our filmmakers who have not stood up to the challenge of remaking this film. Call it rebooting, what have you. But if not the Ten Commandments, then there are many other biblical stories with the ancient Egyptians that we can tell from a purely accurate perspective. Because again, many Egyptologists, many historians know that the ancient Egyptians were Black Africans. Hollywood refuses to capitulate. They refuse to acknowledge this. So what I'm leading to is that there is a big secret going on in Hollywood among these filmmakers, these great Black filmmakers. Because there's a reason why none of them has stood up to bring these portrayals to the screen so that the planet will finally see a true depiction of us in our glory. Why haven't they stood up to do that? There's a reason for that. And this is the big secret that's going on in Hollywood that no one wants to talk about. In fact, if you were to bring it up publicly to these filmmakers, they would quickly brush off the subject. They don't want to get into it. But I am telling you right here and now, the time has come for us to challenge these depictions, for us to bring an historically accurate portrayal of the Egyptians to the screen, our ancestors, and to correct the lie that had been told by filmmakers like Cecil B. DeMille. They knew back in 1956 when they were making the Ten Commandments that they were making a lie, a fictitious, false story. They knew so much so that when they were creating the set pieces of the Egyptians' heads and the hieroglyphics, that they had to change the look to be more pale, change the nose to be more straight, and the nostrils to be closed, change the lips to be less full, change the skeletal structure so there was not what we call this prognosis, the protruding of the jaw, to indicate that they were people of color, the Egyptians. They had to hire set designers to recreate these things in the image of Europeans, while at the same time in Egypt standing side by side to the truth, meaning they could see the hieroglyphics of the dark-skinned people, the Black Egyptians. They could see the prognosticism. They could see the wide nose, the fuller lips, the kinky hair. But they chose to ignore that to bring their lie to the screen. Now, this is not solely Hollywood's fault. This has a lineage that goes all the way back to the religious institutions, to the very preachers and ministers that you go to church on Sunday and learn from, because they need to be called out as well. Your Creflo Dollars, your TD Jakes. You can't sit up in church on a Sunday and not challenge your pastor as to why, if they're professing to be men of God, they have not challenged the system in its depiction of us. See, when you frame something in a particular way, in a particular light, that sends out a message to the masses of people on the planet that we are nothing but slaves. We have always been slaves. And when you continue the lie of showing them and portraying them as ancient Egyptians, and the reason why they want to hold on that civilization, because it was a very advanced civilization. So they want to keep that lie going. If you don't hold these ministers and these filmmakers accountable, then by default, you're going along with the lie. It is time that the truth be told. It is time that we look back at these films and call them out for what they are: propaganda, lies, to make white people feel superior, to make them feel good, while belittling our achievements in history. And it wasn't just ancient Kemet Egypt. I'm talking about Atlantis. Oh, they love to do movies on Atlantis and show themselves as the Atlanteans. Well, they were not the Atlanteans. Atlantis was in Africa. Egypt was in Africa. They were populated by people of melanin complexion. Enough with the slave films. Enough with those depictions. And many of us welcome those films because we say, well, at least they're making films about us. At least our history is getting out there. That is not our history incomplete. That is a fraction of our history. When you have very powerful women like Oprah Winfrey, and all she makes is mammy films. Every film she makes is her as a mammy in some civil rights film where we're marching for equal rights or for inclusion. We were great scientists. We were great inventors. We were great engineers. We were great architects. We were great doctors. We built the most epic and advanced civilizations the planet has ever seen. And until we challenge Hollywood and hold these people accountable, we won't get anywhere. I am not satisfied with seeing us as slaves in movies. You see these films come out, and we're so happy that there are Madam Walker, inventor of the hot comb, I believe, Harriet Tubman. We applaud these films. What are you applauding? You think Hollywood is giving you something? It's a distraction. Why are you taking a slice of the pie and not the whole pie? Tell them you want them to show our history from the perspective of truth. And that means that we gave birth to civilization. And that's what we want to see on screen. Charlton Heston be damned. He's a racist. I'm tired of us settling for 12 years as slaves, settling for Django Unchained. Oh, didn't that make you feel good when Django shot up a bunch of white people? Didn't that make you feel good? Did you stand up and cheer Django? No, I'm sorry. That's not good enough. I want more. I want to see us as the pharaohs. I want to see us as the queens. And until I see that, I'm not going to be happy. I'm not going to stand quiet. And I'm going to hold this list of filmmakers accountable for what they are not doing. Because they are going along with a system that has oppressed us. They're going along with a system that has put out lies and propaganda about us. Yes, portraying us as slaves is lies and propaganda. It is. Because that does not reflect the genius of who we were. So I'm telling every one of you out there to stand up, call these individuals out, and stop supporting the image of us as slaves. That was a minute part of our history. Our history is much greater than that. We were the first on the planet. Let us start showing that. Let us take pride in that. I spoke to a family member. She was, I guess, watching this film about the women in NASA and how NASA used these Black women to do the math to send people to space. And she was very proud of that. And I told her, I said, that is nothing. That is nothing compared to what we really achieved in history. They're just throwing those little trinkets at you to appease you. And most of those movies, if you notice, have the white savior in the movie, to where the white man comes out and professes an end to segregation. We all are one, because they have to look good in every film they do. They always have to be the white savior. It's programming and it's propaganda. That's all it is. See it for what it is. And start demanding more. I want to thank you for tuning into this late broadcast. This is Kasank Ma Keperu, son of Maat and Tahuti. My aunt is the beautiful goddess Heteru. Until my next broadcast, I'm in Ra.